local school. This broadcast, presented by Squirtle and its partner schools, is not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The content and descriptions on the platform may not be disseminated without the written consent of Squirtle and its partner schools. The thoughts and opinions shared on Squirtle's platform are those of the individual and do not necessarily reflect the views of the organization or its partners. Squirtle does not tolerate or condone hateful, bigoted, or divisive content. We want to thank our schools, advertisers, and individuals that have joined with us in our mission to build community around the local school. This broadcast, presented by Squirtle and its partner schools, is not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The content and descriptions on the platform may not be disseminated without the written consent of Squirtle and its partner schools. The thoughts and opinions shared on Squirtle's platform are those of the individual and do not necessarily reflect the views of the organization or its partners. Squirtle does not tolerate or condone hateful, bigoted, or divisive content. We want to thank our schools, advertisers, and individuals that have joined with us in our mission to build community around the local school. This broadcast, presented by
Support your school's booster club and get your business in front of thousands of potential customers.
Talk about a win-win.
Advertising packages start on this streaming station for less than $10 a game. Call 405-726-0835 or email adam@squirtle.com right now for more information.
For 31 years and counting, Community State Bank has taken great pride in being your hometown bank. With branches located in Cashion, Dover, and Hennessy, CSB strives to reflect the small-town hospitality these communities are known for. Our friendly staff is here to serve you and provide one of the best banking experiences around, equipping our customers with the latest in banking technology combined with a personal, down-home relationship. Come into one of our local branches or visit us at www.mycsb.com. Community State Bank, small-town banking, the way it should be. Member FDIC.
Christy Perry is a Cashion-based attorney providing clients in Oklahoma with trusted, experienced legal counsel regarding wills and trusts, bankruptcy, and other areas of law. Flexible scheduling is available to discuss your options, and your first consultation is free. If you need assistance regarding a legal matter, call your local Oklahoma licensed attorney, Christy Perry, at 918-373-0882.
Our world is changing, but one thing is the same. We're here for you. In these uncertain times, take comfort in knowing that modern women of America is built for this. We're built to handle uncertainties, and we've weathered many in the past 137 years, including world wars, disease outbreaks, depressions, and recessions. You may have concerns about your financial plan, but you can also have peace of mind. You got this because you have us.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Woody, and I want to help you or a loved one navigate your way through understanding Medicare. It's hard getting questions answered when you don't know who to call or trust. I am local and appointed with all the insurance carriers in Oklahoma. You can trust me to help you apply for Medicare, make the right decisions based on your current financial and healthcare needs, and feel confident about your future. Act quickly. Annual enrollment period is October 15th to December 7th. Call Stephanie Woody, that's me, at 405-830-4966 to set up an appointment.
Kyle and Gina Van Druff have the answers to all your real estate and insurance needs. These guys will have you covered in a one-stop shopping experience. They are local agents, local supporters, and active in the Cashion community. They are also proud parents of past and present Cashion students. Kyle and Gina help their clients make the right choice. Don't wait till it's too late. Call 405-607-4300. Go Wildcats and number 88. Let's have a great year.
Walk it up. Get you some.
At Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, we've helped a lot of people, and our goal was to treat each and every person like a friend. And as a friend, we've got your back, always. We understand what you're going through. Being lawyers is what we do, but it's not all that we are. We care. We'll stand beside you throughout the entire legal process, not just as lawyers, but as your friends. We are Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, and we are here to help.
Founded by Jesse and Amy McCracken, Rural Pest Solutions is a Cashion-based, family-owned and operated company. Our focus is on providing the highest level of customer service while effectively treating many common invaders, including spiders, ants, roaches, mice, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and termites. Flexible scheduling and superior customer service are our top priority. Call us today to schedule your appointment. 405-283-6565.
Cashion FBC is a church seeking to grow in Christ and our love for the body of Christ. With ministries from children to youth to adults, we strive to present the gospel in an engaging and meaningful way. Sunday school meets at 9:45 a.m. and worship starts at 11 a.m. Children and youth meet on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Please check our website at cashionfbc.org for more information, and we hope to see you this Sunday, located a half-mile east of Cashion.
Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Dieselhorst Sports and Orthopedics can help you get game day ready. Dr. Dieselhorst works with athletes of all ages, taking a coordinated approach to accelerate return to play and maximize athletic performance. His work with pros in sports training, injury prevention, bracing, functional rehabilitation, and imaging works seamlessly with his medical and surgical expertise. Get started by going to Dieselhorst Sports and Orthopedics. Let Dr. Matt Dieselhorst get you back on the field, backing all Oklahoma athletes on the field and off.
Test. Stream with Oklahoma's #1 high school streaming service, Squirtle.tv. Find out more at squirtle.com/stream.
Legacy Insurance and Financial Services is proud to be on Main Street in Cashion, Oklahoma, supporting our Wildcats while riding business throughout Oklahoma and surrounding states. Legacy agents who share over 40 years of experience will shop many carriers to fulfill all of your insurance and investment needs. We welcome face-to-face meetings, but if your needs require an online virtual relationship, we are versed at those too. Let the team of Chris Gibson, Chris Cochran, Aaron Phoenix, and Christina Branson at Legacy Insurance and Financial Services help you build your own legacy, one you will be proud to live and to leave.
Team up with Pioneer iVideo and start streaming the most popular TV shows and movies from your favorite devices today. Download the iVideo app and start watching anywhere in your home using Pioneer Internet. Each package includes free high-definition and cloud DVR features like video on demand, Restart TV, and Replay TV, just in case you forget to record a program. Visit GoPioneer.com for more details and compatible devices. Some restrictions apply.
At Water Heater Man, we specialize in repairing and replacing all water heaters. We service the OKC Metro and surrounding towns with fast, reliable service. We keep our vans fully stocked with essential parts needed for basic repairs, and new tanks are always on the vans ready to go. We offer free estimates on all jobs with financing options available. We match manufacturer's warranty for all newly replaced water heaters. We'll get your water heater back up and running as fast as possible so you don't have to put your life on hold waiting for service. Give us a call today, 405-844-TANK. That's 405-844-8265. Go Wildcats!
Check. Can you hear it?
Cashion Shape Up Fitness is locally owned and operated with no contracts or sign-up fees. Our rates start at only $30 per month, and we have tanning available. Everything you need to work on your health and fitness. So contact Amber Lee to sign up today, 405-538-8248. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Cashion Shape Up Fitness.
So now you're here again, knocking at my door. A little too late for, I'm sorry for. The lights went out 'cause you kept cutting the cord, and I started to fade into your gray.
This is Grain and Grange Market, the coolest little boutique you've never heard of. Come see us.
Wiggins, Sewell, and Ogletree is dedicated to championing our clients through complicated and challenging litigations. We pride ourselves on a proven track record of success, brought forth by fierce litigation skills. The lawyers and staff of our firm are dedicated to effective and personalized representation for every client who entrusts our service. Uncompromising integrity, unparalleled results. Call Wiggins, Sewell, and Ogletree, 405-232-1211.
Absolute Pools, Lawns, and Landscape is not your ordinary pool builder. From traditional to exotic and anything in between, our staff offers paramount quality and service through the entire design and build process. We provide service to the entire OKC metro and surrounding towns. So relax, knowing our team is wholeheartedly committed to building a trusting and lasting relationship with you. Visit us on Facebook or give us a call today at 405-285-9729. Absolute Pools, Lawns, and Landscape.
Storm season is coming, people, and your first choice for roofing needs should be Rhino Roofing. Locally owned and operated, the Rhino specializes in all types of repair and replacement. Large scale, traditional, modern, unique roof lines, they can do it all. Protect your home and your family with the specialized services of Rhino Roofing. Visit our Facebook page today and make an appointment. Rhino Roofing is all the hype for any roof type.
Welcome into the Cashion Wildcat TV preseason football show for 2022. You got Chris Gibson here with Drew Baker. You don't see Nima today. He is out and about.
Taking the easy way out.
Yeah, easy way out. Yeah, he's the one that set all this up for us, so we can't really dog him too much. But he had some family stuff he was getting to, and I especially can't complain about that because I'm always gone doing stuff with family. So
well, you got a whole slew of kids.
We appreciate Neiman and all he does, but we're going to fly solo tonight. And first off, we want to really thank HTO for sponsoring our show tonight. They are the sponsor that put it up the cash, I guess what you want to say, to get us going tonight and really support the Cashion Wildcats. We sure appreciate. Is it Lane Johnson?
Lane Jones.
Lane Jones is the guy over at HTO that is the man, and we sure appreciate everything that HTO does. They're always out here supporting us, and we couldn't do it without all of the sponsors that we have. If you look down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see all of our sponsors kind of roll through, but we sure appreciate HTO bringing these CHS Football 2022 kickoff show to you tonight.
Yep, HTO is located in the Village, located directly south of the intersection off of Hefner and May, also on Southwest 119th and Western, and 23rd and Douglas is the newest location in Norman. So they've got 3 or 4 locations over there, so we're really thankful for them for kind of putting up the cash to help bring you the preseason show this year.
It takes a lot of money to get talent like Drew and I, but we sure appreciate HTO.
Yeah, our salaries, we have to take salary cuts every now and then.
Well, just kind of get going. Last night we had our preseason scrimmage, and, it was awesome to get some football back on the Cashion Wildcat TV. We appreciate you and Seth jumping in there and broadcasting that for everybody to get on and watch. And it was fun just watching these boys. It looks different without some of those seniors, but we say that every year, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
It's what's awesome about Cashion is you always got the next group up ready to roll. and it was fun to watch those boys step up.
Yeah, it was
last
fun,
night.
and it looked like a lot different Cashion team. Seth and I hit on it quite a bit, how, a lot of times you look down there and you're like, wow, there's a ton of kids down there, but then it kind of reminded Seth and I of, right after we graduated in the year, our senior year when there wasn't, 30 guys on the team. So it was kind of nice to see some names go both ways, and you could write a script every year. What people say at the beginning of football season every year, they're always like, I don't know how it's going to be. We lost a lot of kids, whatever else, and it ends up working out just fine.
Yeah.
And from what we looked at yesterday at the scrimmage, I thought everybody looked pretty good. I mean, for the first scrimmage with 30 guys on the roster, so
Yep.
I really enjoyed it yesterday.
No doubt. So we're gonna we've got some guests here tonight with us. We're gonna kind of run down. We're gonna have T Wood on here talk a little defense. We're gonna have Shaq talk a little bit of the offense. Then we got some seniors. We're gonna have Preston Cotter, Jackson Vandriff, Camden Maroney, and Max Brown jump on with us, and we're gonna interrogate them and make them say more than 3 words at a time. And we know Maroney will talk more than 3 words
Cheese
at
will
a
talk.
time, but these other guys. So, but we're going to kind of do that. We're going to review kind of some of last year, a little bit of last year, look at our schedule going forward, and just kind of have an overview of what the season is going to look like. If we want, we can kind of review last year a little bit just to kind of get that out of the way. But, man, what a season. 2 years in a row to go to the state championship and win it. And last year, we had a great group of kids that went and just, a lot of people, I think last year, beginning of the season, kind of thought, like you said, we lost a lot off of that 2020 team. 2021 is going to be a little, we're going to be good, but it's not going to be as good. And we had a bunch of kids step up and, man, really showed out all the way to the end last year.
Yeah, I mean, every year it's like I said, you could write a script. Every year, everybody that graduates, or everybody's like, I'm kind of worried about next year. We lose insert 4 or 5 seniors or whatever. They're like, I'm just kind of worried, and it always ends up working out just fine. And just that group of kids last year, they were really fun to watch, really special to watch, and a lot of them were really, really competitive. And that state game was kind of different than the year before, where it was it was a good game and everything else. But last year's game, Tishner and I were in the press box with Dirk and Lane. We were kind of on pins and needles the whole game.
I'm pretty sure my blood pressure was way above what it should have been. For most
it was.
of that game,
it was a little much. You can hear the audio when Mason caught that touchdown pass at the end. I think we about blew everybody's eardrums there at the very end.
Doubt.
But yeah, nonetheless, that was a great season last year. It was super exciting, super fun to watch all the games and stuff. And there was several games where I was just like, wow. I think Weston and I were driving to the Big 12 game in Fort Worth, and we were listening to the Paul Huska game, and that was just one of those the whole time we were driving down there, just on the edge of our seat.
Yeah.
So it was really, really exciting last year.
Yeah, lots of games last year. Where those seniors that were on that team had lots of big plays, but man, this senior group coming up this year had lots of big plays, contributed immensely to last year's success, and so it's going to be a good time to watch them, take the reins and be the leaders on the team this year to, have the success that we've had in the past. And I know I saw Camden Maroney in the weight room the other day, and he was like, hey, we're just going to give it our all, and that's all we can do, and that's all we can ask. And these boys are ready to jump in there and do what they can.
I'm almost more excited for this year because, like going from 2020 to 2021, you lost, Caden Harrell and some of those guys like that, but then going from 2020 to 2021, it was more or less more or less kind of the same. There wasn't a lot of game plan changes for me. It was like, okay, you kind of know what you had the same stuff going into it. You kind of knew what to expect. Whereas this year, new quarterback, a lot smaller team, guys having to play both ways, which hasn't had to happen in a while. So I'm more excited this year just to kind of see how the season goes for that, just because it's going to be different.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, now just kind of put that in the past. It was a great year. Now it's 2022, and we are kind of get rolling, and we can talk about a little bit. I know you and Seth really hashed out last night the schedule.
Yeah, we were butchering the schedule.
That was if anybody didn't watch the preseason scrimmage last night, you got to go listen to Drew and Seth, and they hashed out the schedule at least, 80 times?
I mean, every other time, because there was Nima had some of the. I'll blame Nima because he's not here, but Nima had some of the games in boxes that weren't actually home games, and then Seth was questioning it. We got it figured out though. But like I said 100 times yesterday, August 26th, first home opener against Rejoice Christian. Then it's on the road September 2nd against Paul Huska. On the road the following week for week 3 at Thomas, September 9th. Then there's a bye week between the Thomas game and the Minko game, which is September 23rd. Then it'll be back home against Western Heights on the 30th. and that's going to be homecoming, which is September 30th. And then the week after that, on October 7th, is the military appreciation night against Watonga, if I'm saying that right. And then it'll be on the road again for a Thursday game on October 13th against CHA, and then another Thursday game on the road against Stillwater JV, and then on the road again October 28th against the Hinton Comets. And then it'll be back home for senior night, the last game of the regular season, against the Crescent Tigers. So that's the official. I'm not going to mess it up anymore. That is it.
Yeah, just looking at it, you got a home game, 3 away games with a bye week in there, so it's going to be a long stretch before you have another home game. Then you have 2 home games and then another long stretch and then another home game, which I think we would have had 5 home games if OCA would have not dropped their football schedule. I think their varsity dropped. I think they may have a junior high playing, but they're not doing varsity. So when we have to scramble and try to find someone to play, it's been kind of hard finding anybody that really wants to step up and play. But Stillwater is always game. It seems like, and this year was no different. Coach Shackelford asked if they could jump in there. I'm sure they said, yeah, but you got to come to us. And Shaq if that's what you got to do to get a game in,
yeah.
he's doing it. And so that took away another home game from us, but at least we got a game to play and fill that spot. So you got three away games, and then that last War on 74, a good way to finish out the season.
Against the River Rats here at home in Maxon Field for senior night.
Yeah, well, and that's the game that, the rivalry game that is fun. I like it being that last game of the season.
Yeah, that's always
because
it's
a
always
lot of times
when
it's that early game, it's kind of like get it done, it's over with. This is something you can really look forward to and build on it and be ready to go into that game focused, and then take care of business and then roll into the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games on the schedule this year that I like. I mean, the Rejoice game next week, that's going to be a really good game. The Rejoice has got a really good shot, like Coach Shack said last night in the pregame deal before the scrimmage. Rejoice is going to be really good. They probably have a shot in 2A. So, I mean, that'll be a really good test, especially right out of the gate. Pawhuska they always play really tough at Pawhuska. Thomas is going to be a lot better this year than they were last year. Minko is the first district game of the year. Watonga just got their brand new facilities and all that kind of stuff. Stillwater JV, that one was a battle last year, so they're always really good. 2 years ago, they're always really good. And I mean, Crescent always plays their best game when they come and play Cashion. So I mean, there's a lot of good games on the schedule.
Yeah, you look at Rejoice Christian, and I know I watched the Squirtle preseason show, and there were some of those guys on there that said, "Hey, don't count out Rejoice Christian." 2 years ago was their first year in 2A.
Yep.
And then last year they made a huge stride, and they just have that winning, culture up there in Owasso. And man, they came down here last year and beat us, and I think that game right there kind of lit a fire under the team last year, and really sprung them and made them better. Even though they lost that game, but this year they're going to have a lot of their same kids back.
Yeah, I think they only graduated just a real small handful of kids off of that team from last year to this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, but I know these boys are one a shot, to kind of redeem themselves from that first game last year. And then you got Pawhuska, and it's always a battle, right? I mean, that's the second game of the season. We're going up there. One of these days, are we going to get to play Pawhuska here? What's the deal? We got all next year. Next year we're going to play Pawhuska here. Y'all were talking about the Pioneer Woman, and you said she might be cooking some microwave dinners or something instead of.
Yeah, I feel like she's probably done cooking once she's off TV.
And I would eat her cooking every day. My wife, she cooks the Pioneer Woman recipes, so I can't. I can't complain too much about that. But, yeah, that's going to be a fun game to go up there, Pawhuska. Coach Hennessy's got those boys ready, and anybody from Pawhuska sees Cashion coming to town, they're ready. They're going to come out and really support that team. So we need to travel up there and make a showing. And then you got Thomas. Thomas is always a powerhouse in Class A. Last year they were down a little bit, but that that coach is going to really rally the troops there, and they'll be a tough one. You got those first 3 preseason games that are going to be really tough. And I think Coach Shackelford and you talked about a little bit last night of, he likes to schedule those tough games and get his team ready and see what you got and ready to roll into the regular season. We'll go ahead and take a little break here. We're going to get Coach Shackelford in here first. Who wants to go first, T or Shaq? Shaq's going to come up first and talk about the offense a little bit and talk about some of the scrimmage last night and kind of what the season's going to look like. We'll take a little break and we will jump back on. Again, thanks to HTO for sponsoring tonight, and we really appreciate that and sponsoring the Cashion Wildcats, and we will be right back.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Support your school's booster club and get your business in front of thousands of potential customers.
Talk about a win-win.
Advertising packages start on this streaming station for less than $10 a game. Call 405-726-0835 or email adam@squirtle.com right now for more information.
All right, welcome back to the Cashion Football 2022 Kickoff Show. We've got Coach Shackelford on here with us, and we appreciate you coming on, Coach.
Yeah, you bet.
And,
you bet. Happy to be here.
Jumping on last night during the scrimmage and really showing, talking about some of the stuff, and we always appreciate you guys letting us to kind of we ask and you let us do it.
Yeah, whatever you guys need. Yep, we'll throw these kids on here in a little while. I'm sure they'll have a tremendous amount to say. And
Cheese is itching for it.
Yeah, he can't wait.
Carter is too. He's grinning over there.
Well, Coach, I didn't get to make the trip up to Perry last night, but man, I saw some good things. I saw some things that I'm sure that you guys saw too that you got to work on, but that's why you do it, right?
Yeah, we don't have to cancel practice Monday. We'll still have
you got something to work on.
Yeah, we'll still have plenty to do. Scrimmages are really kind of interesting because so much of football is based on what you do preparation-wise throughout the week to be ready to play on a Friday night, and then when you go to a scrimmage, it's just you don't do any of that. It's just you just show up and you play and you kind of try to figure it out on the fly, which can be good, but can also kind of make you look bad at times, and because you're really not. You're not prepared. It's more about, we're watching to see if a kid does the technique right or the fundamental right or runs the right route or whatever the case might be. So from that standpoint, I thought overall, we were pretty pleased. We have a long way to go. We've got some younger kids that need to step up and fill some roles for us, but our older kids that, we've got some of them in different positions than they've played in the past, and some of them that have a little bit bigger role this year than they've had in the past. And it was nice to see those guys kind of start to figure it out as the scrimmage went along.
Yeah. Is that something, as you go on every year, we just talked about, every year everybody says, we lost all these seniors.
Yeah.
But is that something every year you kind of see a kid step up that you're like, kind of knew he was coming. Nobody else really saw him there, but we saw him in practice last year or saw him in some of those, end-of-game situations.
I think more than anything for us, I'll speak for us. I can't speak for, other schools, but, we've been fortunate enough around here for a while that we've been pretty good, and we've been able to, in practice, have enough younger guys that had some talent that a lot of times would play for us, but wouldn't, just because they weren't quite as good as the guy that was in front of them. But they still get to practice against those guys every day, which I think helps make them better, helps make the guys that are in front of them better. But then whenever they get their opportunities, a lot of times they're a little bit more ahead of the curve than I think you would be if you were at a program that kind of struggles a little bit or doesn't have a lot of depth. So I think there's some of that with us this year, but there's also some of it just from a number standpoint where we're throwing some guys through the fire that on most years probably wouldn't be ready. But they're going to have to get ready in a hurry, and we're going to have to get them ready in a hurry.
Yep. Last year, going into last year, you had a kid like Nick Nabavi that, never played running back for you guys. I don't think did he even play in 8th grade running back?
I don't think so.
So you had a kid, he moved over to that running back position, just kind of had to adapt and fill a hole, and that's one position or one player that really sprung the team to that championship last year. Do you have a kid this year that, may have to step into a role that he has never had to play for you and just kind of adapt and make it happen?
I mean, there's 2 of them in here tonight that are going to jump on here in a little bit. Camden's played guard for us for 3 years, started for 2, and we're going to move him to running back. And then Jackson, who's played tight end for us, since he got here, we're going to move him to tackle, just because it kind of fits our needs, and we feel like anyway right now that will give us the best opportunity to be the best football team that we can be. And both of them have done it, and not said anything besides, okay, yeah, coach, we'll do whatever we need to do. But and I think that. I think that's a testament to our kids. I think that's a testament to, the leadership that we've had around here for the last few years. It's just you just go do whatever it is that you need to do. Sometimes that equates to, you score touchdowns and you get yards and get your name in the paper, and sometimes that means that you don't get to do those things. But in order for us to be successful, you've got to go fill a different role. And so far it's worked out for us. Hopefully it will this year, and hopefully those guys, as they get more reps in practice and more game experience, it'll pay off for us in the end.
I think a lot of these kids see too. You do your job and do what the coaches ask, and you still get a ring, even if you're not the one scoring the touchdowns.
Everybody's ring last year looks the same. So.
Yeah. So, well, that's good. I mean, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, was just having to adapt and see where the season goes every year. I mean, I think you talked about it the last couple of years of, at a Class A school, you kind of have to – you can't really run the same offense every single year, because you kind of have to fit your offense to the kids that you have at your fingertips or at your disposal.
Yeah.
And every year it could change a lot at this level of Class A level.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we can't go out and recruit. We're not like some of the opponents on our schedule, but we can't we can't go out and find a running back to replace the one that we're losing, or find a wide out to replace the one that we're losing. We just have to play with what we're dealt. So and those kids that are coming up. So that's one of the reasons why it's so much fun, I think, coaching high school football, and especially coaching small school football, is because you have to adapt. We're running a different defense this year than we ran in the past, because we feel like it fits our kids that we have now.
Right.
So that part of it's fun. If you like coaching and you like the challenge that it presents sometimes, then a lot of times coaching small school football really gives you that. And so we'll see. We may not have all the answers, but we'll sure do our best.
And you mentioned that kind of last night, how this year you guys, the last 2 years, yes, you guys had to coach, but it was more, at a certain point in the season, it was just lather, rinse, repeat kind of deal.
Right.
Was that something at the end of last season or shortly there afterwards that you guys were like, okay, let's get a game plan on how we're going to approach this, before we get to that point, or let's get a game plan on, hey, look, we're going to have to do some gridiron kind of coaching stuff.
Yeah, one of the things about coaching is, we spend so much time together. And we're all great friends and have been for a long time. So, you could see this coming for a while. From a numbers standpoint, we knew coming into this year we were going to lose a lot of seniors. We weren't expecting 3 kids that we thought were going to start for us to move away, but that happens. It's life. It happens sometimes. So, we knew our numbers would be low. We knew that there would be some kids that were going to have to play for us that might not be ready to do that yet. So, we've kind of had it in the back of our mind. But yeah, sure. When it was over last year, the spring kind of started to roll around. There was a lot of conversations about, hey, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? How does this kid best fit for us in order to be successful? So, but like I said, I mean, that's what makes it fun. I could understand and appreciate how if it was just the same all the time, it could get a little monotonous.
Yeah. Well,
is that ever, before you go, sorry, Chris,
no, that's fine.
Is that ever a conversation you don't ever like to have? I mean, I can remember, years ago you had to ask Parker and Jack to come play lineman for us at team camp at Pitt State, and Parker, moved back and forth between their tight end kind of deal. That's just, and you knew, I mean, Parker and Jack, that's not something they probably wanted to do, but they both did it, and they both did it really, really well, and we ended up doing really well that year. And so is that ever a conversation you're worried about having with kids?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and there's some of them sitting in here, and I don't mind that, if they hear this, but, I was a kid once, I knew how, I can imagine what it would have felt like if my high school coach would have came up to me and said, hey, I need you to go do something that you've never done before, because that's what we need. I mean, it takes a pretty selfless kid to just say, okay, I'll do that. And then on top of that, go and put forth a lot of effort to do that. But yeah, sure. I would love, I think any coach would love to just, hey, what do you want to play? And what fits you best and what fits your skill set best. And if that's what you want to do and you can be excited about that, then yeah, that's great. But that's not the reality here. And that's not the reality in most Class A schools. Yeah. You can look out. Anybody we play this year, probably besides Rejoice and Pahuskin, you're going to see kids playing positions that if you took them and you took him to Deer Creek and said, hey, this is my left guard, they'd look at you like you had two heads, but that's our reality. I mean, sometimes our left guard's, 155 pounds, and sometimes Moreland's right guard's, 155 pounds. I mean, that's just how it works out sometimes.
Well, Nima had asked me just to, giving him 3 keys for the Cats for this year. My 3 were, just adaptability, Ironman football, and stay healthy. Yeah. We kind of talked about the adaptability of all the kids kind of have to either, adapt and play a new role or adapt and play both sides of the ball if they haven't had to do that before. We talked, now let's talk about, that Ironman football mentality of, you got to line up and play almost every single snap in a competitive game where you're playing both ways. Is that something that you see as an issue, or do you see that as kids are going to say, hey, I want to play the whole time? What do you see the biggest challenge on that this year?
Well, I think, first of all, from a conditioning standpoint, it's going to be an issue early on. It just is. I mean, it's hard to prepare kids, for 80, 85 snaps a game, early in the season. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue moving forward. But I think, the more we play, the more we practice, the more we get acclimated to it. I think that part will come. You always worry about the health part of that also, just because there's, football's a violent game, and if you're playing 80 snaps instead of 60 snaps, there's 20 more opportunities in a game for, you roll an ankle or, jam a thumb or whatever the case might be. So those are things that I think about, and I think our staff thinks about. I think our kids want to play.
Yeah.
And I think they're, for the most part, most of them are used to playing both sides of the football. Now, maybe not as many snaps as we're going to ask them to play this year, but they're young. I mean, they're healthy.
I think I saw everybody play both
be able to
ways
do that
last night except Chance. Is he going to play any defense?
I really hope not.
That worked out poorly for us in the past.
Well, that's what Tishner and I were talking about when Matt Harmon was here.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the man on offense and defense a lot of the time, and but then he got hurt.
Yeah,
and
then he got hurt.
What do you do with that quarterback that –
I think if we felt like we had to have him over there in order for us to win, he would for sure play on that side of the ball as well. But it's not something he had done at his previous school, and I don't think he's better than some of the kids that we have over there right now. If worse come to worse and we were thin, a couple kids get hurt and we don't have a choice, then of course we would do that. I mean, I'm not going to sacrifice our ability to win a football game because I don't want my quarterback to play on defense. But right now it looks like he may not have to. So hopefully we can keep it that way.
And I'm sure he's probably the type of kid that if you need me on defense, Coach, I'll be there.
No, I think he would. I don't think he would bat an eye. I mean, his learning curve would be pretty high, but he's a football player. Yeah.
Yep. And you said it. I mean, not last key was just stay healthy.
Yeah.
In years past, or not years past, but these last 3 years, you've had enough kids that you were 2-3 deep at some positions, and you don't want to get anybody hurt,
right.
But you had that cushion. last year, you had one of your best linemen go down, one of your best defensive players in Camden, and man, you had kids that were there to step up. Were we better without him? No, but we had kids that came in and stepped up and made plays and were successful.
Staying healthy is such a big key, and it is every year. I've talked about this for years and years, especially in our class and any probably 3A down class. It almost becomes a war of attrition at some point, and it's who's got the best 11 or who's got the best 16 or whatever it is when you get to Thanksgiving, and who can kind of piecemeal it together at that point to make it the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That's kind of what it ends up. And if you can stay healthy and you're fortunate enough to be able to do that and not be, physically spent by the time that part of the season rolls around, then I think you got a shot. And I think that's one of the reasons why, if you look at us over the last 3 years, we've had some freaks come through here and we've been crazy talented. But we've also stayed relatively healthy. Right. I know, Camden got hurt last year and it was awful. And, Harold got hurt in 19 and wasn't the same after that. But, there's been years around here, where we've lost 3, 4, 5 starters, at different points in times throughout the year. And knock on wood, we've been able to kind of avoid that a little bit the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we've been able to be as successful.
Right. I mean, you got to look at the year that 2020, you did, your best linebacker or one of your best linebackers in Justice Broadbent didn't play the first half of the season and then was able to come back. Last year, one of your best secondary guys in Gavin Fippen was hurt a lot of the season, but you've had a lot of depth there in the last few seasons, but in this year, you probably are thinking, well, if somebody goes down, somebody will step up.
Yeah,
that's the way
sure.
it has to
be. You don't have a choice. Somebody else has got to go play, and they've got to play at a high level. And if that's the expectation, then you just that's what you have to do.
These kids are ready for that,
right? Yeah.
You got anything else, Drew?
No, just as far as yesterday, we talked about it pregame and post-game, or post-scrimmage, I should say. Just last night, have you guys had a chance to watch the film on everything yet?
Yeah, we watched it today, watched it with the kids.
Other than what you kind of said last night, what was a takeaway from watching film yesterday from an offensive standpoint that's something you maybe didn't notice yesterday that needs to be worked on, or something you thought you did really well you didn't notice yesterday?
We've got to get better at running the football. A lot of that was on me last night just because we didn't, like I said, we didn't scheme to go run the ball against Pawnee. And really, we did a little bit against Perry, but not as much as we should have. So we've got to get better there. There was a 4 or 5 play span last night in the scrimmage where we looked like we'd never played before. We couldn't get a snap. We couldn't catch a ball. That stuff has to get fixed, in order for us to be consistent on offense. But, we've got a couple lineman positions that we've got to get fixed. And if we can do that and we can be a little bit balanced on offense, I think we got a chance to be pretty good on that side of the ball.
But does that happen, every year, right? That first preseason scrimmage, you're like,
yeah, for sure.
Right.
And then you throw in a new quarterback and you throw in guys playing different positions, and I wasn't shocked that we had that span, but we've got to be.
I'll take a little bit of the blame. He was doing good, and then I said the snaps have been really good so far. So it's like, don't say that, and I was like, oh, it's fine. Then the next 4, I was like, yeah, that's on me.
Yeah, happens sometimes.
It does happen. Poor timing on my part. Whatever. Yeah. Early on, shouldn't have said it, but it ended up working out fine. But as far as I know Camden being back, at running back and stuff, that's different from him being on the line last year. And I know Coach Robertson was kind of bummed out losing.
Yeah, he was. I was glad he didn't want to make it a fist fight over it or something.
Yeah.
Camden would be number 61 today.
Well, I'm sure he's not too bummed out about it. But well, you want to take a quick break, and we'll get Coach Wood in here and talk about a little defense action.
Coach Shackelford, thank you for
you bet.
stopping in
you bet.
and
Anytime.
jumping on with us and talking a little bit. We want to, again, thank HTO for sponsoring our preseason show. We couldn't do it without all our great sponsors, and we sure appreciate HTO. I keep screwing that. I'm going to say HTO enough.
Have you been? Have you been to HTO?
I they've come out here. They
Yeah.
were at Boomfest, and then
Yeah.
they were at our Meet the Teacher night.
It's legit.
Oh, yeah. I got
it's
2
awesome.
jugs
Yeah,
after I
it's
got
awesome.
my first little cup. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get stock up.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
this.
when Lane was telling us they were going to open this tea store, I was like,
What?
tea store? And he said, yeah, they're in Texas, and they're really popular. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then
Pretty sure they're putting one in Stillwater too.
They're trying. They're putting one in Bartlesville. And then like 2 weeks after it opened, I remember driving by and the line was like on May down the road. And I'm thinking, what in the world for tea? And then, but you try it and it's, I'd wait in line for it.
Just on our little deal here, 26 flavors of the best iced tea around. Happy hour every day, 2 to 4, Chris. Write that down. Half price cups on tea.
Nice.
There you go.
I'll
Right?
have to check that out.
Check it out.
So, yeah, we sure appreciate HTO for being our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Coach Wood.
For 31 years and counting, Community State Bank has taken great pride in being your hometown bank. With branches located in Cashion, Dover, and Hennessy, CSB strives to reflect the small-town hospitality these communities are known for. Our friendly staff is here to serve you and provide one of the best banking experiences around, equipping our customers with the latest in banking technology combined with a personal, down-home relationship. Come into one of our local branches or visit us at www.mycsb.com. Community State Bank, small-town banking, the way it should be. Member FDIC.
Christy Perry is a Cashion-based attorney providing clients in Oklahoma with trusted, experienced legal counsel regarding wills and trusts, bankruptcy, and other areas of law. Flexible scheduling is available to discuss your options, and your first consultation is free. If you need assistance regarding a legal matter, call your local Oklahoma licensed attorney, Christy Perry, at 918-373-0882.
We are back here at the Cashion Wildcat Football 2022 kickoff show, and we just had Coach Shackelford on, and we appreciate him always letting us kind of have free reign. We're actually in their office right now broadcasting this.
Yeah, we actually had to clean it today,
yeah,
so
they had to clean
appreciate that.
Poor thing.
Give us an excuse to clean this mess.
But, yeah, we sure appreciate y'all letting us come in here. We got Coach Wood here. He is the defensive coordinator for the Cashion Wildcats, and he is always willing to jump on with us on the preseason show, and he's come up after the game sometime, maybe even a couple preseason
Yeah, Watonga, a couple years ago, Watonga, when they started out 14-0, so I vowed to never come back pregame, so don't even ask. Told Nima, no invites, no invites.
Hey, well, we appreciate you jumping on tonight, and the last 2 years you jumped on, it was a preseason show, and you won the championship, so that –
yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's keep rolling.
Ball rolling.
We kind of talked about, all of the keys, and, we talked about the Ironman going both ways. You're going to have some kids that haven't played probably defense for you as much the last few years that have been on the teams and contributed on offense. They're going to have to step up and make some big fill some big roles on the defense.
You're right.
You had Preston Cotter last year step up in that championship game.
Yeah. I looked around and said, hey, who told me that Cotter could play? I mean, come on. We got to have some assistant coaches. Let's communicate here a little bit. So,
this year, I mean, you're going to have some of those kids have to step up.
Yeah, we will. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see who rises to the occasion. We are going to have some kids step up and do some different things that they're not used to doing, as far as position goes, and then even, seeing varsity action. I mean, a lot of these guys have never seen varsity action before, and so the good news is we got 2 Division I quarterbacks to face the first 2 weeks of the season. So,
it'll go great.
Yeah, so it'll be good. I'm excited about it, and we'll see who steps up. I'm excited about that.
As far as the Seth and I were when we finally got our equipment working yesterday for the JV.
Yeah, Nima leaves town, and then everything goes to heck.
It was borderline. It was borderline.
F team, is that what y'all called yourself?
We were the F team yesterday. But yeah, get up there, and then we were about 10 minutes in, or not even 10 minutes into the JV portion, and all the camera stuff went down.
It's all good. It's all good.
But anyway, on the JV portion of it, there's a bunch of those JV kids that I thought, of course it was the JV scrimmage portion of it, but there was a couple of those JV kids I thought played pretty well.
I was excited. I'm excited about some of the kids that we have that are freshmen this year. We knew that we had a chance to some of those kids had a chance to be pretty good, and they've progressed. In the last couple of weeks here that we've practiced, and so I think we do have a decent core of linebackers that are younger. That are going to be able to really help us, and maybe, this year maybe even sometimes too. I mean, because we're thin, boys.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's why you've had the luxury of having Caden Harrell and Nick Nabavi and all those guys that were there for
crazy.
years after year.
I mean, we've had
the anchor in the linebacker position. Now you're kind of. Let's find another anchor and move some kids around. I think is Camden moving?
Yeah, we moved him back this year to help out a little bit. We've tinkered with moving Jackson back there a little bit, but he's such a dominant force on the defensive line when he does what he's supposed to do. And so, there could be you could see him, dropping back into some hot coverage, every once in a while, and hook to curl zone, and you're going to see him come off the edge some. I mean, we're going to put him in some positions to go make plays just because he's such a really good athlete, and so kind of a hybrid defensive end, outside linebacker, inside linebacker kind of guy. And so he's set to have a big year. I really think he can dominate that side of the football, and I'm expecting him to. So
Cotter and Vandorf kind of were causing some problems last night.
Yeah, no, like I said, both those guys. We watched the film. There were some things last night that, like you alluded to a while ago. You look and see, okay, yeah, it looked pretty good, and then you watch it and say, And so there were some things that both Jackson and myself and Preston talked about earlier today during film. That we're gonna change up a little bit just to give them a better angle to see and able to read and react, and because both of them are just really good athletes. And so,
well, and Shaq had kind of alluded to it. It's also kind of hard to repair. You were doing 10 plays this team, 10 plays that team, and it couldn't have been further.
Yeah, and I mean,
Pawnee, who was just
you look
raw
at
dogging, just ready to go. And
and that's what we had some little frustration in there at the end, and I got the guys together and told them, like, look, first of all, we haven't seen any film. We prepared more for offenses like Perry than we have against offenses like Pawnee, because that's what we're going to see. And plus, so Woodland, we see them. That's 12 weeks from now.
Right.
Pawnee, well, they're all playoff teams. We'll see them 12 weeks from now. Morrison, those would be a playoff team. We're going to see them 12 weeks from now. So we didn't spend a whole lot of time on the wing tee and stuff like that because that's not what we're going to see the next 3 or 4 weeks. And so it's just, all I told him last night is, I was looking for aggression, and I was looking for physicality, and I was looking for us flying to the football. And we did a pretty good job at all three of those things, and I think our conditioning got to us a little bit because of, like you said, we're one side of the ball and then going right to the next. Yeah. And I think as the season progresses and as more practice time comes, and our shape will get better. But like I said, at the end of the day, if we can do those three things in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and be ready for Minko, because obviously, guys, that's when it really counts as far as district play and being able to get into the playoffs and
Everybody's
stuff like that.
0-0 going into that week.
Yeah, I mean, you just hit the reset button, but hopefully within those 3 or 4 weeks, we can make sure that those three things are solidified, and because I think that's going to be our ticket to success on defense. Is we've got some speed. I think we got some guys that are not scared to stick their face in there. They want to be physical. They want to inflict pain, like we talk about a little bit. But we've and then we are. I think we do have some kids with pretty good aggression. So if we can do those three things and hash out some other things, we should be all right. But district play.
Jack kind of mentioned it yesterday on the post game. You have in years past we've had people that haven't had a problem, yelling at guys, communicating what's going on out there, what you're yelling at them, and then you have some years where you're like, these kids would rather just text it to each other or just not talk about it at all.
Tweet it out,
whatever it may be. So I mean, this year, if you notice, that's going to be something you got to work on more, or something that you can kind of just be like, okay, we've kind of got that part handled. Just
we've actually done a really good job at it because we're going. We're kind of changing our philosophy defensively, and so some of the stuff that we're doing, I mean, it's all predicated on on making sure that everybody is on the same page. Because if you take the ball in the middle and one half of defense is on one page and the other half of the defense is on a different page, it's not going to work. So, we're done a good job of communicating, our coverages, our blitzes, our movements, and all that kind of stuff. So, I think we've done a pretty good job, and I expect that to obviously, get better. But yeah, our communication's pretty good.
What was something you thought yesterday after being there, watching it, being on the field, and then coming back and looking at the film kind of from an aerial point of view? What was something you were not surprised, I should say, but just something you were like, okay, we did this, pretty well, or more well than you thought would happen going into the game?
Well, I think we had some, our especially like against Pawnee. I mean, our two interior guys, they were facing double and triple teams all night long because that's just what they do. I mean, they're down block, and so I thought those two guys, when you don't really see the interior during the game too much from back where I usually stand, but so watching that on film, I thought those two guys in there, Matthew Stockton and Tommy Branson, I think they had some bright spots, and they caused some problems and some difficulties for Pawnee as far as moving those guys out of there and getting to the next level and getting to those linebackers. So that's one thing that I saw that didn't really get to see last night, that you couldn't really tell what was going on because it's just a mash, a wall of red. And so I thought, last night also was some of the angles that we were taking on our stunts and some of the angles that we were taking on our angle tackles and stuff like that. We'll definitely need to work on those things. And but a lot of it last night, like I said too, was we don't see that stuff, and we hadn't really prepared for that stuff. I thought again,
you're not going to see when you do.
Yeah, if we do see it, it's going to be right. And so and then against Perry, I thought we did pretty good just because, like I said, that's kind of what we practiced against for one, and then kind of what we're starting to prepare for those first couple of weeks. And so I thought our D line played well against a note tight formation, and so just little things like that.
There were some times I thought the secondary looked really, really good. Seth and I were talking about that.
No, we had some breakdowns in coverage as far as just the communication aspect goes, and that's going to happen. I mean, it's early. We've been doing this for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now, but so that's going to happen. And so and then also too, when we break down film and stuff like that, we know your top 5 pass plays. So we had zero clue what kind of concepts Perry was going to throw at us, and so we're just going over stuff that we do, which is a lot of the same stuff, but I think they're going to be a good unit once we can know our landmarks and know where we're getting and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the difference this year and last year on defense, I know we're kind of switching up the defense a little bit. Can you talk about a little bit?
We're going to a more traditional 3-3 stack with 2 overhangs, so really it turns into an 8-man box if we want it to right now. Like I said, we're undersized. I mean, we're going to be undersized probably a lot. Yeah. And so we're going to move these guys a lot, and we're going to try to use our athleticism as best we can. We're going to take shots at people, and we're going to try to, the philosophy is going to be, trying to dictate what the offense does and not let the offense dictate what we do, and try to use our speed and try to use our physicality and try to put people in situations where they don't know what we're about to do, whether it be a slant or a X blitz or something off the edge or 2 dudes off the edge on the same side. I mean, just things like that where we think that we're going to have to. What we think we're going to have to do to be able to stop people. And, we had, guys like Caden and guys like Nick, and even revert back to guys like Bryce Miller. I mean, those guys, they were readers, they read really well. And so we weren't really a tremendous amounts of blitzes. I think that we will do that this year just because of, and not that saying our guys can't read, but I'm just saying as far as our athleticism and our speed,
and the age of some of the
and we're young, and so, and then inexperience, and so we're gonna, and like I said, kind of a little bit of a philosophy change as far as, we're going to go dictate what happens in the game and not let them dictate what.
And you can kind of tell that one of the plays I remember specifically when Max got his interception, you could just tell right at the second the play started, you could just tell there was kind of some panic in Perry's backfield. That they were
yeah,
like,
that's exactly. And and you watch some stuff that even those opponents did last night to us. Anytime the guy lines up in front of you and then before the snap he's moving and doing different stuff. I mean, anytime you make an offensive lineman think a little bit too much, then you want to say that you have a chance to make something happen.
Yeah, you can really tell just body language wise. You could tell when they line up and stuff.
Yeah,
moved around. You could tell guys were, if they could, you could tell they were wanting to move, adjust, get ready for some different.
Yeah, and that's going to be, like I said, we're gonna try to get after people.
Run that Stillwater defense where they were.
No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Now we may have a couple special fronts and stuff that we get a little crazy in, but not play in and play out. But so it should be exciting, and I think that's kind of fun for the guys because they know they're in attack mode, and that just seems like it's
I loved
makes it a little bit more fun. And
my number for a blitz, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and it's exciting. I mean, you get a chance to make a big play, and we're gonna have to do a really good job of winning first down and trying to put people behind the chains right off the bat. And that's one thing that we talk about too is just like we got to put them in a deficit right off the bat instead of them 2nd and 5, 2nd and 3. We want to be them at 2nd and 12, 2nd and 10, and stuff like that. So that's gonna kind of be the MO for this year.
Well, you said a while ago you had thought about maybe moving Vandrick back into that linebacker position. Well, I was going to tell you, the real game planning goes on usually in my office or Chad Tishner's office.
100%.
We do a lot of game
100%.
planning.
Yeah, I get as soon as I get, and I'm not, this will be my 10th year, but I got built a house, all that kind of stuff, and so I'm not officially here until I get Chris Cochran's endorsement.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's still on the fence about me a little bit. So anything that you can do down there at the office to kind of give me a shout out.
We were like, man, it'd be great to see Vandrick back there in that linebacker position, just let him run all over the field and make tackles.
Well, like I said, and we've had some, so we have a few blitz packages that we've installed the last couple of weeks where him and Preston are kind of back off the ball a little bit on the edge and then and then they're coming or they're sitting there on the defensive line and then you saw them last night. If you watched it, you saw Jackson had one that he probably should have intercepted, and then Cotter, he drops into the zone there, and so you're going to see them kind of, like I said, just trying to use their athleticism and trying to show, offense is one thing, but then turn around and do something completely different. So, like I said, we're trying to dictate what they think they're going to do, and then we're going to do something different. And,
10
so
years, that's pretty wild. I didn't even think about it like that. That's been a long time.
So
Well, Chris, he probably knows what he's doing, right?
Maybe.
10 years.
10 years,
Yeah.
he probably does.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's going to be what's fun about this year, and that's kind of what we've talked about in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've all summer and thinking about it, and it's going to be exciting. I mean, we're coaching constantly, and it's and like you said, the last couple of years we've just coached. I mean, we've had some dogs, man, on both sides of the ball. I mean, we've been blessed defensively. For dudes that just like to go knock people's heads off, and that's and are strong and are fast, and so not saying that we don't have some of that stuff this year, but it's just we're young and we're not as big, and so it'll be fun to get those guys going and seeing what we can do.
The thing is, like, in years past, you kind of what you got. This year, you're going to see some kids really take some huge strides, and by the end of the year, you want them to be peaking.
100%, 100%. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna give it everything we got next week, and we're gonna fight, and that's what we want to see, and we're gonna try to rise to the occasion, and we're gonna battle that guy, and we'll let the chips fall where they lay, but at the end of the day, that's not going to dictate what happens to us the rest of the season. So but like I said, we got a Montana State's where he's going to go, and then the next Rejoice quarterback. He's part of their track team that won state this year, and they've actually set a couple state records in the 4x1 and the 4x2. So
the receiver,
he's the Wilson. He's the quarterback.
Say that again.
the Wilson kid that's quarterback for
Yeah.
Rejoice Christian. He's going to Montana State.
But what about their receiver that played last year? Really fast kid out there. I mean,
I'm not sure where
he
they're
just
all
moved
back,
in
aren't they?
last year.
Yeah, they only graduated just a real small handful.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be tough, but and then the next week you got the Drummond kid who's he's I think South Dakota State I think's where he's going, and so you got two, but like I'm going to preach to these guys like here you have a challenge in front of you. I mean let's go knock that guy around. Let's go see what happens. Let's go try to make him feel uncomfortable and give him what he wants.
Well, that's as
that's
player,
how you get better. The kid that's committed to South Dakota State, that kind of stuff that's how you don't get better playing the teams that are going to go 2-8 or something.
Yeah,
like
as
that.
a player, you want that challenge.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, right. I know these guys over here. These guys over here, they've played a lot of football games, in the last 3 or 4 years, and so they're going to be ready. They're going to want to play well. And so I'm excited for this week to be here, get ready to prepare for a team actually, and throw some bullets at them and see what happens.
All right. Well, Coach, appreciate you jumping on. Like I said to begin with, we really appreciate the coaching staff.
It's great. All this stuff is great. It's shows off our town, shows off our facilities, and shows off our people, and it's a great thing, man. Yeah, appreciate you guys doing this.
We sure
appreciate it. Adding Drew has just been taking it over the top.
Yeah.
There are there's a lot of people at Oklahoma State watching now because of Drew.
Yeah.
All the ladies.
Well, I was going to say it's probably on big screens at sororities, aren't they?
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. All right. Well, and we want to thank H2TO again for sponsoring our preseason show, our kickoff show. If you have a chance, get by and see them. Get that happy hour. What'd you say, 2 to 4?
2 to 4.
Half price tea. So when you're in town, in the city, swing by there and get you a glass of tea. It's good stuff. We appreciate them sponsoring our kickoff show. We will be right back, and we'll start jumping in and having some of the players jump on with us right after this.
Our world is changing, but one thing is the same. We're here for you. In these uncertain times, take comfort in knowing that modern women of America is built for this. We are built to handle uncertainties, and we've weathered many in the past 137 years, including world wars, disease outbreaks, depressions, and recessions. You may have concerns about your financial plan, but you can also have peace of mind. You got this, because you have us.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Woody, and I want to help you or a loved one navigate your way through understanding Medicare. It's hard getting questions answered when you don't know who to call or trust. I am local and appointed with all the insurance carriers in Oklahoma. You can trust me to help you apply for Medicare, make the right decisions based on your current financial and healthcare needs, and feel confident about your future. Act quickly. Annual enrollment period is October 15th to December 7th. Call Stephanie Woody, that's me, at 405-830-4966 to set up an appointment.
Kyle and Gina Van Druff have the answers to all your real estate and insurance needs. These guys will have you covered in a one-stop shopping experience. They are local agents, local supporters, and active in the Cashion community. They are also proud parents of past and present Cashion students. Kyle and Gina help their clients make the right choice. Don't wait till it's too late. Call 405-607-4300. Go Wildcats and number 88. Let's have a great year.
Walk it up. Get you some.
At Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, we've helped a lot of people, and our goal was to treat each and every person like a friend. And as a friend, we've got your back, always. We understand what you're going through. Being lawyers is what we do, but it's not all that we are. We care. We'll stand beside you throughout the entire legal process, not just as lawyers, but as your friends. We are Maples Nixon Diesel Horse, and we are here to help.
Short commercial break. Thanks, Coach Shack and Coach Wood and Chris for jumping on there for a little bit, talking about kind of the scrimmage last night and the kind of the goals for this year. Big Cheese.
Howdy.
What did you think yesterday? How do you think everything went, especially for you? I know that you were moving from the being on the front lines on both sides of the ball. Now you're kind of back in the background of everything for a little bit.
It's something to get used to. It's gonna take some time for sure, but from going from guard to running back is a little bit different. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's gonna take time, and surely we can figure it out there.
Was the conditioning a little hard to get used to?
Yeah.
You looked a little winded by the end of the scrimmage going both ways.
Coming back to really this is my first time really getting back in the football shape, so it really was hard, difficult, and it's gonna be hard, especially with my knee and getting back to getting back in shape and everything.
Yeah,
so
Chris kind of talked about last year when you hurt your knee kind of towards the end of the season. How was the recovery for that, and how do you feel? Kind of this is the scrimmage yesterday week or 0 week, which is the first game next week. I mean, how do you kind of feel, health wise going into that?
Yeah,
deal?
I feel good. I mean throughout the whole winter and all that, I was doing rehab 3 days a week and going to that and stuff. But now coming in the summer, I started lifting every day. Knee was feeling great, and now, dude, for football, starting now, I mean, it feels great. Everything feels fine. It's just it's all mental now. So.
Absolutely. So as far as the scrimmage yesterday, first time being back at linebacker and running back, how do you think it went yesterday? Is it from a team perspective?
I thought it was well. I thought we played well. I think we need to figure out some linebackers need to have better reads, and I think the D-line played really well. Thought everything was good. Yeah.
Speaking of D-line, Jackson out at defensive end and everything, you and Cotter were kind of causing some problems for some people yesterday.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to do.
So out of you and your brother, who do you think's better?
Well, we're a little bit different type of person. I mean, he's a little bit faster. I'm sure he enjoys being outside more. I enjoy being inside and hitting.
In the mix.
In the mix. For sure. Do you think you could take him in a fight? Don't answer that.
100%.
So how did you think, as far as yesterday, you and Cotter were kind of collapsing both sides of the offense there. You could kind of tell when you guys would kind of line up at a certain angle or whatever, you could tell the tackles would start to get nervous on both sides. You guys, I thought, did a great job. How did you think, just personally for you guys, not just as a defense, but personally for you guys, how did you think you did?
Personally, I think we did okay. I mean, we got a lot of work to do to get as good as we need to be to win, to get to, we have our linemen, we have our D-line, Dagan, Stockton, and who's Tommy.
Yeah, I thought Tommy
we have a lot of work to do to get to where we need to be, but I think we did okay for the scrimmage.
Kind of talking about linemen, they mentioned how, last year going from tight end to this year being, one of the front five guys. Was that a hard adjustment for you kind of going from, tight end to that, or was that something that was pretty easy for you to kind of pick up, thus far, and was it something you were kind of willing to do, obviously, but excited for?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's a lot of getting used to. You got to understand different roles that you have to do, like counter and stuff. I need to learn how to function a little bit better on counter, just make better plays overall.
So last year, going from the state championship last year to this year, not to focus on last year too much, but both of you came in first. What was your favorite, other than winning a state championship, what was your favorite memory about last year that is just something you keep thinking about?
Favorite memory about last year was definitely the last play in the Ringland game, where Ben drops back to pass and then throws a dart to Mason in the corner. I thought that was awesome. I thought his pregame post-game speech was just the best. I thought it was great, but yeah, definitely the Ringland game for sure.
Vandruff?
I think my favorite part is probably playing Pawhuska. I mean, it's just a battle, always a battle playing them.
Yeah, no doubt. As far as how practice has gone, new quarterback this year. What's kind of been the chemistry like between everybody? That's kind of been here a while, like you guys, and then there's some newer kids that are moved in. What's kind of been the chemistry between the guys that have been here a while and the kids that are moved in? Is everything? I mean, obviously everybody's getting along, but what's that been like? Kind of getting them used to how things go around here.
I think they're starting to get used to everything. I think Chance is starting to like everything now. He had to get used to everything, but
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think he's coming in as a quarterback, and he's done great so far. He's going to be a really big impact on our team and everything. He has good chemistry with the team, and yeah, he's just a good guy.
Cameron, what are some of your goals personally I feel like you've been a senior every year I turn around. I'm like, oh, how's your senior year going? No, I'm just a sophomore. So now it's actually your senior year.
Yeah.
What are some of your personal goals so far going into this, this final stretch?
I really think being a leader and, helping the team out, knowing things that, the younger kids don't know, being able to teach them things and help them out, like when they don't know plays, not what to do and everything like that. I feel like being able to tell them and, what they have to do and what their, plays they have to run, stuff like that.
Being one of the seniors, one of the leaders on the team, what are some of your team goals that you got that you personally would like to see, as a team? I know this year, obviously, the team's a lot smaller than it has been in the past. So,
I think winning a championship is definitely the number one, and also just being good teammates to each other and stuff like that. Just, number one is definitely winning a championship.
As far as the camaraderie goes, does it make practices harder or easier only having, so many guys that can play so many positions? I mean, yesterday we looked at the roster when Seth and I were up there, and almost everybody on both sides of the ball was playing both ways, and it's going to have to play a lot. Has that been something that's been hard to get used to?
It's going to be harder, especially the conditioning. We're going to have to go a lot of plays since we have less players on the team. So, but it's going to, conditioning.
As far as practice goes, Jackson, has that been something that's been hard on from your point of view, having to go from playing, offensive line and then immediately turning around and guess what? Now you're just walking to the other side of the football playing defense.
I think it's a little bit easier in my opinion. I don't have to really run as much as I did. I mean, it's not that much different tight end and tackle.
Right.
Like I'm still blocking most of the time anyways.
Yep.
So as far as, yesterday it looked like, between you and Cotter, you guys were both super physical, getting in people's faces and stuff like that. Is that something that you guys just enjoy doing?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Just pushing a kid back and getting in the way is really fun. It's enjoyable.
Camden, going from playing defensive line to linebackers, did you like playing defensive line more? Because last year you were causing some problems for some people.
Yeah, nose guard, it's different, way different than linebacker. Linebacker, you got a lot of space. You could read guards, tackles. It's
got a little more time to react.
A little more time. You're running more, which I enjoy doing it, but. The D-line aspect of it is, you're getting double team most of the time.
Right.
So you're having to deal with the center and the guard on a run play, but definitely getting in the backfield as a D-lineman it's awesome.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of times being, nose tackle or even on the front lines, a lot of times you don't get your name called for tackles because your job is kind of to be in the way. But I'd say that. But then last year, you at nose tackle, you were getting your name called, I felt like, all the time from disrupting some stuff. As far as the linebacker dynamic, I know there's a lot of communication between Coach Wood and the linebackers, setting up the defense and everything else. Has that been something that you've had to kind of step back into that role for?
Yeah, I've had to help, like Timmy Jones. I've had to help him a little bit. He's going to be a great player. He's going to have to learn how to read gaps a little bit better, but he's going to be one of the kids that you're going to be like, wow, Timmy's going to be good.
From watching, I saw you guys in the end zone, kind of watching the JV portion of the scrimmage yesterday. Who are some guys on that JV squad that you saw that you're kind of excited about this year?
I think Barrick Wano is going to be a stud. He's young, but he's gonna be a good linebacker. I think Drew Westerhoff. He's going to be good. He's got some really good hands. He's pretty athletic too.
Juan will get some opportunities.
Yeah.
Seth and I, our roster was messed up as far as the numbers, and you guys had practice jerseys on. We couldn't figure out who it was because they didn't have the right number on. We were like, who is this kid? But Juan Melendez, that was someone that Seth and I were like, dang, he's gonna be pretty good.
No, he's pretty quick too. So, and he gets to the football fast. So
as far as what kind of Coach Wood talked about, how you guys aren't going to be, it's going to be a different style of defense. You're going to have to be quick and just physical the whole time. Is that something you guys have just been like, let's go, let's rock with it?
Yeah, I felt like just. If quick and physical, I like it. It's a good way to play a defense, So
Jackson,
for you, what are kind of your personal goals this year for just yourself, kind of going into the season?
For myself, I want to help the younger kids for sure. I want to make them as good as I possibly can because we're gonna need them for sure by the
absolutely.
end. And I want to be able to break my tackle record. That's what I want.
Okay, Chris and I will make sure we hold you to it.
Okay.
As far as keeping track.
Ask him, how many tackles do you think he had on special teams last year?
How many tackles do you think?
Oh, you had a lot.
Yeah. How many tackles do you think you had on special teams last year?
30, 40.
Yeah, it was pretty insane.
I think the Thomas game you had 11 tackles on.
Oh, I know. I felt like at the Thomas game we were calling Jackson's name more than anybody else, and we were and he was making tackles on special teams, which was awesome.
Well, one of those times I just tripped and accidentally got a tackle, so that happens a lot too.
Hey, sometimes it works out that way. Going to switch over and look at the schedule for a little bit. Camden first. Looking at the schedule here, you got Rejoice, Pawhuska, Thomas, Minco, Western Heights, Watonga, CHA, Stillwater, JV, Hinton, and Crescent. Looking at the schedule, what's one of the games you're kind of looking forward to the most and why?
100% Pawhuska. Because we played them 2 years in a row, and it's like a rival almost.
Yeah, and both games the last 2 years have just been great games.
Absolutely. They're always good, and they have good players. I mean, their quarterback's probably gonna go D1. So I think it's pretty cool having to go against a D1 player. So it'd be cool to sack that guy. So.
Jackson, kind of looking at the schedule, same thing. What's a game you're kind of looking forward to, and what's your reason behind that?
I mean, Rejoice. I'm not a big fan. I'm not gonna lie. They beat us the one time, and I've just wanted to play them ever since then. So
absolutely,
gotta have a kind of a special dislike for what I mean. Schools like that.
Not a fan of Rejoice.
Not a fan of Rejoice. Not at all. I'm sure the feeling's probably mutual. Going back before we switch off to the other guys, just for the younger guys, what's some advice you'd give the younger guys? The JV, I know, having to play a lot yesterday. A lot of those guys are going to have to play a lot this year just because of how small the roster is. What's some advice you'd give to them going into this, potentially pretty long season?
I just think the younger guys just need to pay attention to the older guys, and and once you get older throughout that, just fill in the roles that the older guys did, and then
try your best.
Try your best, and just try to be better every single day you can.
Yeah.
Just that's about it.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're going to take another quick commercial break, and then we'll, Chris.
Ask them, what makes special. Why is Cashion special?
That's what I forgot. Glad you said something. We had talked about this earlier. What, in you guys' opinion, kind of makes Cashion special?
Just the community.
Your family's been here forever. Your dad played here. Your uncles, your sister and cousins have been managers and played track and all that kind of stuff. Your brother Peyton was on the football team. So what's kind of made Cashion special?
I think it's pretty cool that my dad's played on the same field as what I'm playing on.
Right.
So I think the atmosphere at Cashion, small town, you got all the crowd. It's just bunched up. Everybody's there. Every single person in the crowd. I think that's awesome. I feel like all the little kids there playing little games outside when we're playing. I think that's cool, and I think just overall just the atmosphere of Cashion, small town.
Jackson?
I mean, it's got to be the community. Everyone excited to come watch you play. Everyone comes out, even for basketball and baseball. I mean, just everyone enjoys to watch Cashion play. Love
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Chris, glad you reminded me. When we get back, we'll have Max Brown and Preston Cotter, and we'll ask them some of the same questions and some different ones. We'll be right back.
Founded by Jesse and Amy McCracken, Rural Pest Solutions is a Cashion-based, family-owned and operated company. Our focus is on providing the highest level of customer service while effectively treating many common invaders, including spiders, ants, roaches, mice, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and termites. Flexible scheduling and superior customer service are our top priority. Call us today to schedule your appointment. 405-283-6565.
Cashion FBC is a church seeking to grow in Christ and our love for the body of Christ. With ministries from children to youth to adults, we strive to present the gospel in an engaging and meaningful way. Sunday school meets at 9:45 a.m. and worship starts at 11 a.m. Children and youth meet on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Please check our website at cashionfbc.org for more information, and we hope to see you this Sunday, located a half-mile east of Cashion.
Dr. Matt Dieselhorst at Dieselhorst Sports and Orthopedics can help you get game day ready. Dr. Dieselhorst works with athletes of all ages, taking a coordinated approach to accelerate return to play and maximize athletic performance. His work with pros in sports training, injury prevention, bracing, functional rehabilitation, and imaging works seamlessly with his medical and surgical expertise. Get started by going to Dieselhorst Sports and Orthopedics. Let Dr. Matt Dieselhorst get you back on the field, backing all Oklahoma athletes on the field and off.
Stream with Oklahoma's #1 high school streaming service, Squirtle.tv. Find out more at Squirtle.com/stream.
Legacy Insurance and Financial Services is proud to be on Main Street in Cashion, Oklahoma, supporting our Wildcats while riding business throughout Oklahoma and surrounding states. Legacy agents who share over 40 years of experience will shop many carriers to fulfill all of your insurance and investment needs. We welcome face-to-face meetings, but if your needs require an online virtual relationship, we are versed at those too. Let the team of Chris Gibson, Chris Cochran, Aaron Phoenix, and Christina Branson at Legacy Insurance and Financial Services help you build your own legacy, one you will be proud to live and to leave.
Team up with.
All right, we're back here within the field house with the player interviews, talks, whatever you want to call it. Just had Camden and Jackson on there. Did a great job talking about, a little bit last year of the season and a little bit of the scrimmage and kind of their personal goals. Now we've got Preston Cotter and Max Brown going to join us. You guys both did really good in the scrimmage, I thought, yesterday.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Preston, kind of talking about defense, kind of the same thing we talked about Jackson. You guys were kind of causing some problems for some people, and you could kind of tell when you guys lined up at a certain angle, they were like kind of nervous, getting some adjustments. Yeah. When did you guys kind of just start, not you and Jackson, when did you kind of just start noticing like, hey, I'm pretty long in my reach and everything else and can cause some problems for some people?
I feel like after you kind of, once you read a few plays of each team, you can kind of understand what's going to work the best. And then you can kind of go to your personal stuff. You're like, all right, this for me is what gets me the best movements and gets me to the quarterback quickest. And
right.
I don't know. It just definitely takes time to read the person you're playing against the whole time. But no, having the leverage and the height and stuff, but both me and Jackson is definitely an advantage.
Yeah, you guys were causing some problems. And Coach Wood talked about last year, you having to come in kind of later in the season, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, nobody told me this kid could play. Were you extremely nervous last year when you had to go in?
Well, we walked in halftime, and T was like, hey, you're going to have to come in and play both sides. Like,
did your heart drop a little bit?
I was like, okay, you just tell me what to do, and I'll try and do it. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
As far from a defensive point of view yesterday, what did you think, the front line, I thought you guys did pretty well in some parts of it. What did you guys think you did really well, and what was something you noticed you guys need to work on going forward?
Definitely was better than I expected for us to do. I mean, defensive, we're just a lot of walkthrough, and we haven't really got to see that yet besides summer camps. But I feel like definitely different, staying low on the ball, coming off, and just being physical and working hard. Effort definitely is. And then we just trust T-Wood with the plays and the movements he wants us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Max, going to jump over to you for a second. Obviously, Chance, new quarterback and everything else. It looked like you guys, caught passes and everything, and he threw really well to you. What's the chemistry been like between the receivers and him? Him going from 8-man now to playing 11-man.
Well, I think he's picked up pretty well, honestly. But I mean, I think we just have to get the timing down, and then we'll get it as the season goes along, I believe.
As far as has practice and everything gone pretty smooth? Seth and I kind of talked about that yesterday at the broadcast. There was a couple times where the ball was just, if it would have been a second later, it would have been perfect between the pass you guys caught.
Yeah. This just takes time to get that chemistry going, and eventually we'll get it, and I think we'll get it going.
Maybe not Seth anymore, but out of all the Browns, who's the fastest probably?
I gotta go with me, of course.
Probably a solid bet. Probably a solid bet. As far as your biggest takeaway, what was your biggest takeaway from last year? Obviously, the state champions. Your biggest takeaway from last year, that's something you had or knew you had to carry into this year going forward. Like, hey, this is what we picked up and did really good last year. We got to continue doing this next year, even with the numbers being as different as they are.
Most importantly, I think our defense has to really just be able to get stops, and that's what's been able to win us championships the last 2 years. Is our defense has been able to perform when we needed it to, and that's what I believe is the most important part: is the defense win championships.
Not being afraid to be physical.
Exactly.
Come downhill.
Yeah. Tackle.
Get in the mess.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What was practice like when you guys came back for from the summer and everything else? When T Wood was like, hey, this is gonna have to be a fast-paced, really physical defense. Was that something you guys were like, yes, I'm ready for it?
I think everybody was all in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, especially since we were playing both sides of the ball, we're really excited to be able to do.
Kind of mentioned that with Camden, the conditioning. I mean, years past, there's been 50 guys on the team. You've had people can have some breaks. You can kind of work some guys in. This year, it's always not going to be like that. You're going to see some people having to play both ways a lot. People playing 80 snaps a game. Yep. Has that been something in practice that you guys have had to really focus on? Like, hey, yeah, I'm winded, but also we're going to have to play 80 snaps Friday night.
Absolutely. I mean, we go through drills where we're going. You don't even get a break. You do offense 10 for 5 minutes, and you got to go straight to defense, and you just keep rotating through that, and it's just working for that game condition. and it's the work it's going to take to get to where we want.
Other than the state championship last year, what's your favorite memory from last year's team or last year's season?
Obviously, for me, it's winning the state championship because that's my first right there. But I would say the Pawhuska game because that was probably my biggest game, definitely for the player that I would have to go against, which was, I guess his name was Wildcat or whatever. And he was,
right.
But Pawhuska was a pretty nerve-wracking game for me, too.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking just to listen to. Chris and Nima probably got mad at me because I was driving to the bowl game in Fort Worth, but we were on pins and needles driving down there.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I would have to pick the Pawhuska game too because it came down to the very end, and it's just always exciting playing against them. I think.
Mentioning Pawhuska, looking at the schedule, obviously, Rejoice Christian first, Pawhuska, Thomas, Minko, Western Heights, Watonga, CHA, Stillwater JV, Hinton and Crescent. Looking at the schedule, what's a game that you're just super really excited for and are just ready to get that game, get here?
First two. I mean, it's almost Rejoice because, number one, it's your first game and it's at home.
Right.
And we lost to them last year. So, or Pawhuska. I don't know. Those are my top two right there. I'm ready to go.
Pretty good first couple 4 games right there.
Yeah, no, I would definitely have to take Rejoice. I'm most excited for that game because it's the first game and Kickoff. I'm just ready to get it going, and that's probably one of the best teams we're going to play this year. So, I'm ready for it.
Obviously, that's going to have to be a game where everybody plays some really good football. Preston first, what are some of your personal goals for yourself going into this season?
Be a leader, be a role model for the younger kids, and let them see the role that they need to fill with for all of us when we graduate, and definitely just give it my all when I'm on the field in between the sidelines. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Max?
Yeah, no, I'll have to agree with Preston and just try and lead the smaller kids to really try and fill positions because we're going to need them throughout the entire year to really step up and play for us, in big games.
Who from yesterday, from the JV portion of the scrimmage, were you guys like, man, he looks pretty good and is really kind of showing off a little bit?
Juan and Barrick for me.
Yeah, definitely. Juan Melendez and Barrick Juan are those two I'm real excited for.
Yeah, those were two guys that Seth and I both talked quite a bit about, and we were like, hey, where do these kids come from? Kind of a deal. So kind of the same thing I asked Camden and Jackson, what to you guys makes Cashion special? Max, I mean, you've obviously watched Seth and Sam play, and you've been here for a while, and Cotter, you got to see some of those older guys play, and now you guys are up there, so.
The brotherhood, I feel like, that comes out of the sports you play, depending on whatever it is, and the community. I mean, Friday nights, there's something special about it. It's hard to beat.
Yeah, I just think, especially in football, you just bond as brothers in football. Especially just during the seasons, you have to want to play for each other to be able to succeed in that season.
Absolutely. Chris, you got anything else you want to ask these guys? Well, Preston, Max, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Glad you guys came up. I know there's probably other stuff going on a Friday evening when there's not a game going on.
Right.
So I'm glad thank you guys for coming up here, and good luck to you guys. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then Chris and I are going to come back on and wrap it up. Again, thank you, these guys, Camden, Jackson, Max, Preston, Coach Shaq, and T. Wood, and we'll be right back after this.
Pioneer iVideo and start streaming the most popular TV shows and movies from your favorite devices today. Download the iVideo app and start watching anywhere in your home using Pioneer Internet. Each package includes free high-definition and cloud DVR features like video on demand, Restart TV, and Replay TV, just in case you forget to record a program. Visit gopioneer.com for more details and compatible devices. Some restrictions apply.
At Water Heater Man, we specialize in repairing and replacing all water heaters. We service the OKC Metro and surrounding towns with fast, reliable service. We keep our vans fully stocked with essential parts needed for basic repairs, and new tanks are always on the vans ready to go. We offer free estimates on all jobs with financing options available. We match manufacturer's warranty for all newly replaced water heaters. We'll get your water heater back up and running as fast as possible so you don't have to put your life on hold waiting for service. Give us a call today, 405-844-TANK. That's 405-844-8265. Go Wildcats!
All right, we are back here with the Cashion High School Football 2022 kickoff show. We just had some of our seniors come in, and Drew, great job interviewing them. It's always fun listening to the players, getting a little perspective from the kids that are out there. And the reason we do this is to highlight those kids and really show what special kids and athletes and really just people that our kids are and our student athletes are here in Cashion, and it's awesome to be able to bring and highlight and put that spotlight on some seniors in our preseason show.
That's what I've loved about the preseason show the last couple of years is you get to, I mean, most of the time, you'd be like, you'd roll into the first game and be like, okay, now we're going to talk about, some of our seniors and all that kind of stuff. Well, this, you get to hear, from their perspective how the scrimmage this year, especially, you get to hear how they thought the scrimmage went. You get to hear about their goals and some of the stuff that, that's going through their heads, which is something that's cool. That especially with the Squirtle broadcast and everything else, you kind of get to highlight some kids that most of the time you sometimes don't get to, when it's just Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, and I enjoy just sitting back and listening to them. We kind of joked about how many words are we going to get out of a couple of the boys,
yeah.
and to really be able to see some of their personalities and listen to them talk. And what impressed me about all these kids, every time you ask them what their goals are, most of it's not I want this many touchdowns or I want this. It's I want to be a leader. I want to be able to help that younger kid really fill the role that I did last year, and maybe if they don't know where they're supposed to be, they can look to me as a leader, and that's what I like to hear. And I think that's just the culture that Cashion has had over the since Coach Shackelford, and that's kind of what he's built is be that leader to help that kid below you, because they're the ones that are going to make you successful.
Right.
And I think they all buy into that, and so when they get to that point in their career where they're that senior, that's their goal, is to be that person that the kid in front of them was last year. And it's awesome to hear that's their goal, and that when you ask them what's special about Cashion, and they what Preston said, the brotherhood, and man, that was just cool to hear, and it's always fun to have them on. Another thing that Preston said, he said you asked him what what's something that you want to bring from last year, and he said just come down here, he'll be physical.
Yeah.
And that's a kid that when he first got into Cashion and started playing, he might not have hit somebody as hard. Now he's one of those kids that will come downhill and put a helmet on you, and I'm excited to see him on the defensive side of the football.
There's a lot of those guys. I mean, Jackson and Preston both, especially. It's kind of exciting to watch them, in years past and then to now, when you're like, okay, you can kind of see at certain games, you're like, it's kind of starting to click through. You're like, they realize how big and how big of a reach they've got and how many problems they can cause. So it's really exciting to watch, some of those kids, see like, oh, hey, I can do this and I can cause a lot of problems with some people.
Yep. Just real quick, we'll kind of go over, I know we've had some players on here already, but I just want to kind of go over some players to watch for the 2022 season. You got Chance Accord, quarterback. He's a junior. He is moving in. His mom is actually our Spanish teacher now, and she helps coach softball. And but he is new to Cashion. He's a quarterback. He's played 8-man football last year.
8-man at Davenport.
And was successful in moving in this year. And I've talked to some of the coaches, and they said he's just a sponge, and he's ready to learn and willing to kind of do whatever he needs to do for the team to be successful. And you saw it last night, and Max talked about it a little bit, was, you're this close to making some – I mean, they made some big plays, but there was a few plays in there that were just, just some time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple times, especially to Max, just back and forth. There was a couple of times, and, some other kids he threw routes to that you were like, man, if that would have just been there a second earlier or a second later, that would have been awesome. That would have been, money. But there was other things about Chance that kind of impressed Seth and I. His ability to read the pocket. As far as when the pocket started to collapse, there's a lot of guys that, their first instinct then is throw it away, get rid of it, or, bolt towards the sideline or just tuck it, run, gain 2 or 3 yards.
Yep.
He did a really great job of once that pocket started to collapse, step up in it, get a read where he needed to go, and then keep his head up and get ready to throw it while also, running. There was a couple plays at the end there where he threw it to Max, and they either worked or didn't work, but he just the ability to read that, say like, hey, I need, something needs to happen here, and it can't just be me standing waiting on something to happen.
Yeah. And
I thought that was pretty impressive.
My favorite plays of his last night was him, kind of scrambling over to his left, and Cooper Frazee kind of works and gets open, and he throws a dart into the end zone for a touchdown. And, just never saw much panic in him. And, we talked about just that timing just being off a little bit. But you look back, in the preseason scrimmages, I mean, being 3 years in, being starting quarterback, you're off. That timing's off just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see that there was, they had some chemistry. He had some big plays. He made some kind of spread it around to a bunch of different receivers. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the table this year and what he can do with the tools that he has around him.
Yeah, I am too. And then you talked, Max Brown obviously was just up here. I'm really excited to see Max. In the years past, he's kind of had some injury problems, and then there's been a lot of guys that can catch the ball really well. So he's kind of had to share some playing time with some of them. So I'm really excited this year to kind of see him show out.
Is a kid that like you said, there's just been some studs in front of him, and he's one of those kids that probably playing anywhere else in Oklahoma in Class A, he would have been one of their best players on the field. I told you and Nima asked, we have a little group chat between Nima, Drew, and I, and he's like, Drew, what stood out to you on the scrimmage last night being there in person? And I told him, I just chimed in and said, one thing that stood out to me, was glaring, was that Max Brown is a fast dude. You know?
He's super quick.
And he caught that little bubble screen yesterday, and the kid had angle on him, and he just outran him to the end zone.
And not just quick, he was able to make kids miss.
Yeah. And that's one thing about his brother Seth was, you get Seth the ball in some space, he's going to make kids miss, he's going to score. And I think Max is got that ability, and this is his year. And he's what I like about Max is, like I talked about, he's a kid that had the ability and the talent to, be a big star, the last few years, and he's just taken that role. He's like, I understand what my role is. I understand we've got other playmakers, and never complained about it. Now it's his time to shine, and I guarantee he's going to take advantage of that and be one of those kids you want to watch all year long.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it this year. I mean, we talked a little bit about last year, him having to share, time and, catching passes from Mason, from Landon, himself also having to split those. You
had all-state.
A ton of guys that could catch the ball really, really well, and that really worked out well because, you don't have to rely on – there's been times where it's kind of bit us before where it's like, hey, this is one guy we're going to throw to, and everybody's like, okay, we know that, obviously, so let's cover him up.
And this year, he's got the twins, Seth and Kai, that are out there with him to kind of, that are going to share some targets, and then Cooper Frazee.
I thought Cooper had some good moments yesterday.
He did a great job running the ball, making some kids miss, and being a physical runner. Max is going to be one of those kids that's going to be a leader. He's going to be one of the guys you want to watch, but he's going to have some kids around him that people aren't just going to be able to double team Max,
right?
Because there's some other kids around him. But if they do double team him, I think Max he's not afraid to take on that challenge for sure.
No, not at all.
So the other player to watch was Jackson. You just talked to him, but that kid, I kind of chimed in and said, ask him how many special teams tackles you think he had last year.
Thomas game last year, we called his name more than anybody else, and it was just on special teams tackles. It was just mind-blowing.
If somebody's watching this preseason show and we don't know what we're talking about or didn't watch much Cashion football, go back and watch some of those games last year on kickoffs. He is just like a vacuum cleaner. He just runs down the field and just swallows up the ball. And he gets there quick. He doesn't. He's such a big kid. He can cover a lot of ground. He doesn't look like he's really running that quick, but he's so big. He covers a lot of ground really fast, and he is going to he's going to cause a lot of trouble on that defensive front this year for the Cashion Wildcats. And I'm excited to see how Coach Wood moves him around and does some of those schemes that he talked about.
That duo between him and Cotter on defensive ends there is going to cause a lot of people some problems. And you could literally, when Seth and I were watching it yesterday, you could literally tell when they would line up or get at a certain angle before the ball snap. You could see the look and just the body language on the guys in the backfield and the tackles up front. They were like, okay, how are we going to handle this?
Yep.
And you could really tell we mentioned the interception that Max had towards the end of the scrimmage. That was one of those ones that Cotter and Vandriff caused the problems early on and had made that pocket collapse quickly. And you could just tell in the backfield they were kind of screaming, like, okay, well, we got to make something happen quick or we're going to get sacked right here.
Because you have them two coming off the edge, and then a lot of times you had Camden coming in, on a blitz or just, reading and making a cut to that backfield, and man, it's going to be fun. A lot of people have asked me, hey, Cashion, they've won the last 2 years, they've been there 3 years in a row, they're probably going to fall off this year, and I'm like, guys, there are some kids on this team that, any other school, they're looking at this team going, this could be our best team that we've ever had. And so I'm excited for this year, and I'm excited for these seniors that have been, like you talked about Camden. You joked about, you felt like he's been a senior for 3
years.
years.
I know. Every time I'm like, I was a senior year going, he's like, well, I'm a sophomore.
Yeah,
I'm a junior. I'm
but
like,
that's
finally,
the thing.
it's here.
That kid, like right there, I mean, he's a kid that it's his senior year, and he's been a big part of these championship seasons, and they don't know any different other than winning. And I'm excited to see them get out there and pass that philosophy and culture on down to those younger kids and see how those younger kids, respond and fill those gaps that are there from last year.
On one more thing on Jackson, Coach Wood kind of mentioned it. There was a play towards the end of the scrimmage where Jackson almost, it looked like he either could have had an interception or could have just swatted the ball down right there if he had just been an inch higher off the ground. So I mean, those are going to be some things as the season goes on that are going to be fun to watch, and I'm really excited about getting to watch them play this year and just the Cashion team play this year. Even though I won't be at all of them, but I'll get to see.
Well, you got to do the Squirtle Pay Dirt,
the Pay Dirt
right?
show, yeah,
right.
The Pay Dirt show.
So Nima and I, we always talk about looking at the season and try to make a prediction, or he always usually puts me on the spot, and I try to make a prediction of where we're going to land at the end of the season. And I like to try to say, who's the Final Four? What's the Final Four going to look like? And I think if Cashion, if they can get everything together, like I know that Shackelford can do, and get his team really prepared and hit their peak at the end of the season when the playoffs start, I think Cashion can be one of those Final Four teams. I think Ringling is going to be there. They're always good. They've got a quarterback that is probably going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the state this year. They've got just a culture there of winning, and that's what they live and breathe is football there.
In the last several years, you ask all the way back to my sophomore year, and then years after that, if you're like, what are some of the best games? It's just been like a great competitive game. Ringling has always been one of those up that you're just like, yeah, that's gonna be a game. So you're right about the culture there. Yeah,
and then I think Tonkawa they're going to be a problem for a lot of people this year, and then. Really, those three right there are going to be trouble for a lot of people. And then Fairview. Fairview has, I don't think they lost a kid off their team last year, but their starting quarterback was a freshman last year, and so he is going to be a problem, and their whole team. So I think Fairview has a great chance of going all the way to the semifinals and maybe even championship game.
That Fairview Hooker game last year towards the end of the regular
that was
season.
Awesome.
I think it may have been the last game of the regular season for them, and it was one of the last ones going on the Pay Dirt show that Ethan Sunken and I were waiting on and watching, and that game was just insane between those two. It could have been I think that was a game we actually called early because there was I think like 10 or 15 seconds left, and we were like, okay, shut it down if you want to tune into the Hooker TV, whatever, finish that game, and then we called it for Hooker, or we called it wrong.
Well, because Fairview had gone up, and then
Fairview had gone up, and then the last we called it for Fairview, and we were like, it's over, and then you and Nima were texting in our group, and they were like, I can't believe that just
Hooker
happened.
Just
I was
won
like,
that
oh
game,
my gosh.
But yeah, no, that's those four teams right there, and you can call me a homer, whatever you want to call me, but I think Coach Shackelford, Coach Wood, Coach Robertson, they're going to have these kids. A lot of people are talking about, our line isn't going to have all the kids. We don't have Camden. We're going to have to put some kids in there. But, every year it just seems like Coach Robertson has that front line just operating like a machine by the end of the year. And you were a lineman, so how he operates.
I'm glad you say that so I can say this. Every year there's been some years and this is going to go way back, between my freshman year and sophomore year. My freshman year you had Bo Beeman, Devin Tiller, Brett Wilson, Quentin Thorpe. You had guys that were just absolute monsters, and then they graduate, and then you had me, Parker, and Jack Sunken, Parker Pace Happy Jack Sunken, who had never played lineman before, and then Dylan Dean. I think combined our entire front offensive line maybe weighed 500 pounds. Just one of those deals. But Coach Robertson does.
But y'all worked together. It was
Coach Robertson does a really great job of using kids. Obviously with the line that you got, if they're a smaller group of kids, and this line isn't small by any means compared to some other kids that have been small, but he does a really good job of this is what we can do really well. So let's not try and be like, okay, why can't we push the 300-pound kid from wherever around? Coach Robertson does a great job of using kids really well at what he knows they can be good at.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you could write a script every year. It's almost like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. Every year it's the same comments like, oh, how do you think we're going to be this year? And they're like, oh, we're not going to be, blah, blah, blah. and it always works out great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't like to talk, who's going to be in the state championship, that kind of deal this early, just because there's, 16 weeks of football to be played. But it's a different team every year. So to make a prediction like, oh, we're going to be this good or we're not going to be this good, the kind of deal, I just think that's naive to say.
Well, I definitely think, the potential's there for that to make it into that Final Four. And you heard Camden say, their goal is to win a championship, and that's what you play for, and I don't blame him for having that goal. And I think if they play to their potential and things go right, that's definitely a possibility. And that would be a three-peat, which I don't think has ever happened. I don't know in Class A, may have, but it's hard to go to a state championship 4 years in a row. But I know these kids are willing to try to do that, and it's going to be a fun ride watching them really work hard and try to get to that, to meet their goals that they have for that season. We will, before we wrap up here, Drew, I want to shoot this over. I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, but guys, I have a business here in town, and we have these commercials that go on here, and you would not believe the people that will call and say, hey, we're not from Cashion, but we like watching Cashion football, and we saw your commercial. Can you get us a quote? I have insurance. They call just from watching these commercials. So as a business owner, I can tell you $1,000 for a commercial and
corner ad,
everything. It is well worth your return on this $1,000 is so good, just because you have so many eyes watching Cashion football, watching Cashion basketball, watching Cashion baseball, softball, the Achievement Day, the stock show, everything that we broadcast, your face is going to be right front and center, and it's well worth that $1,000. Drew, you can kind of talk about some of the things that we have here.
Well, I mean, just from doing the Pay Dirt Show, and for those of you that don't know what the Pay Dirt Show is, it's the Squirtle equivalent of what you would call, the Red Zone channel. We throw, 6 or 8 games up there, and it's not Squirtle that runs everything. If you're a Squirtle school, your school runs your streaming service. So there's Cashion Wildcats TV, there's insert whatever TV, and it's the advertisements. It's not, that money doesn't go anywhere else. That is, if you're a person that is giving money to the Cashion Wildcats TV, that's where that money stays. The equipment that we have and the guys that we're able to do the things, the graphics and everything else, I've seen 20 different streaming services for, whatever school's TV version. And I think ours is, the upper echelon of that. And that's because we have generous businesses and generous people who are willing to donate for commercials, website ads, live corner ads. But that helps us get the equipment that makes this, worth watching, and it doesn't just make it just some random production. I mean, and like you said, Chris, 500,000 views over the last 3 years. I think 250,000 of those were just last year alone. So it's not like you're not getting anything for your money. And we had talked about earlier, talk to Coach Shaq, talk to Nima, talk to Chris, or visit the CashionWildcats.tv and click the advertise button. It's well worth it. I mean, just the commercials here, it's the people that you said, have come to your business, hey, I saw you on Cashion Wildcats TV, or people I know from my grandma's point of view, her and Kelly with the Gateway Realty, there's been people that are like, hey, we saw your ad on there. So it's something that's well worth your money. And not only does it help your business, it helps the streaming service, which in turn helps the kids. And not just for football, like you mentioned. Baseball, I know there's a softball tournament coming up this weekend. Every other sport, it helps everybody. And that's not just a one-time, 10-week out of the year thing for some of these businesses.
Yeah, no doubt. And I said it helps my business, and that's great, and that's why you advertise. But what I really like about it is it's just an opportunity for my business to give back to the kids, to give back to the school, give back to the why we do all this and it's just to help give the best tools to our kids to be successful. And this is a great opportunity if you want to be able to help Cashion Wildcats be great. Here's a place you can do it, and you get a little bit of advertisement along with it. So we appreciate all of our sponsors, and if you want to be that sponsor right there with us, jump on and jump on board, and we'd love to have you, and we will talk you up as much as we can, I promise you. H2O. God, why I keep doing that? They're going to fire me. HTO, we appreciate you for sponsoring our preseason kickoff show. Just how HTO sponsored this show tonight. If I think Coach Shackelford and the bunch is going to give businesses opportunities to sponsor games, Neem and I on the Cashion Wildcat TV Facebook page and Twitter page. We always have, just the game breakdowns. If you guys somebody wants to sponsor one of those, that's an opportunity there to get your name out there too. So HTO jumped on and wanted to sponsor our preseason show. We sure appreciate them.
Yeah,
and
big thanks to Lane Jones, co-owner of HTO. And like I said kind of at the beginning, they've got locations in the Villages directly south of the intersection off of Hefner and May, also on Southwest 119th and Western, 23rd and Douglas, and the newest location in Norman. And I know they're talking about putting one in Bartlesville, and I think they're putting one in Stillwater, I saw the other day. And like Lane said, at first he was like, a tea place, what? But he said, it's really, really good. And the reviews on it, if you look on any of the reviews, it's fantastic. So, again.
And they have ice, like the little crushed ice.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's one of the deals.
You go get a bag of that
crushed
stuff
ice,
right
the Sonic ice,
yeah.
everybody
I
calls
think,
it.
And I read that you can get bulk. You can get as much tea as you want for parties. You can get
tailgating
ice.
parties, watch parties. I know they do the Cashion tailgates and everything else in the parking lot, which is awesome. So stuff like that. But again, huge thank you to them. Every production that we do, whether it's Achievement Day, football games, whatever else, we don't just do that, because we can. We do it because businesses sponsor it, and it's a huge help, to the program and everybody else. So we really appreciate them at HTO tonight for sponsoring tonight's preseason show.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am excited about the football season. It's going to be a fun one. We will have pregame next week with Rejoice Christian. It'll be here in Cashion, and Nema will be back, and it will be back to normal. We'll have our whole crew here. Nema, myself, and Drew will be up, and we'll start our pregame about an hour before, or about 30 minutes before the kickoff, and it's going to be a fun year. We've had back-to-back state championships, and just ride that momentum and keep rolling, and I can't wait to see the kids get out there and compete again this year. And you talked about it a little bit. Our softball girls, they have a big tournament this weekend.
Yeah, big tournament this weekend.
And, man, they've been rolling right along, and they've got some kids that are girls that are some stud softball players out there, and it's a fun watch. If you haven't gone and watched our softball team yet, go out there, support them when they're in town, because it is fun to watch those girls compete, and they are getting better and better, and the softball program has a bright future, and that is for sure. Over the next few years, they're going to do big things. So with that said, Drew and Chris Gibson here, we sure appreciate y'all tuning in, watching our preseason show. Thank you, Coach Shackelford and the crew, for having us out, and we look forward to a great season. So on behalf of Drew Baker, I'm Chris Gibson. Go Wildcats, and God bless.
Cashion Shape Up Fitness is locally owned and operated with no contracts or sign-up fees. Our rates start at only $30